I'm Washayla Sananda. Thank you for joining me. So, last week, if you saw my video, it was all about what is the purpose? Why are we here? What's the point of all of this, right? And now this week, I feel like that conversation has kind of continued. It opened some things up. I got a lot of communication back from people. This one, I'm going to go a little deeper into finding meaning in your life, finding your purpose. So, innately, we are not given meaning. We put meaning into all of life's experiences, and that's not fixed. That can absolutely and should change throughout your life if you are doing any kind of personal work, any kind of work on yourself to upgrade your mindset, upgrade your perception of reality. Then you will naturally be in a different place as you go through your different phases of life. And ideally, you'll be upgrading your perceptions as you go so that you're not stuck in a certain way of being, or maybe stuck in the way that you perceive things when you were young or when you were a child. Each phase of life gives us this opportunity to put new meaning and come up with new ways of being that are correlated to the new meaning that we are perceiving in life. So, this is about going deep with what's showing up and finding that meaning. And if you don't like the meaning that you have assigned to certain things in your lives, guess what? You have the power to change it. Only you have the power to change it. And everything in this universe, everything in this reality is a mirror reflecting back to you where your mindset is, reflecting back to you what it is that you've come up with for your personal challenges, for your purpose. And that's what makes this such an exciting and ultimately a fun reality to be in. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, I don't know if I'm having fun here, but I hope that you are. And I want to give you this perspective of we get to make it fun. If you want fun, you can have fun. But if you have the mindset of, no way is this fun, this is challenging, difficult, terrible, fill in the blank, then that's what you're going to get, because you, again, are the one assigning the meaning to this experience. Every moment of your life offers an opportunity to upgrade, essentially to ascend your frequency, your consciousness, your state of being. And that's super exciting. That is such a fun thing about this reality. Now, sometimes we don't take those opportunities. Quite often we don't. And we let ourselves kind of get in a dip or get in a dark place. And there's nothing to judge there. This is the point. The point that I'm making here is for you to realize that it is in your hands to take the reins and take back your reality. If you're not having the experience that you want, if you're not manifesting the life that you desire, then there are things that you can do. And the very first thing is to start bringing more awareness and monitoring your mindset, monitoring every thought tenaciously. This is something that I have taken on many times throughout my life. I mean, to some level, constantly, but there are periods of time where I do it more than I do others. And, we all go unconscious. Even spiritual teachers go a little bit unconscious now and then and slip and have things happen where my mindset isn't always perfect. My mindset is not always in the right place, but I have the tools to quickly bring it back to where I want it to be. And this does not mean ignoring everything else that's going on in the world that's negative. This means allowing myself to hold the negative experiences, allowing myself to understand and perceive and come to terms with the negative things that happen, whether it's, people die, people get hurt, wars happen. The world has things that are always going to challenge us. And can you take that in, hold it, be a space of understanding, okay, this is going on in the world. Yes, there is darkness. And yes, there is light, and I'm going to hold this thing that I'm perceiving as darkness and bring light into my embodiment and into my mindset and into my being so that I can be an anchor for that light, not in the denying that there are difficult things happening in my life, in the world, in other people's lives, but to allow myself to be present with what is going on, with what I'm perceiving, with what's coming toward me, to allow myself to have my response to that, to allow myself time to integrate and understand, okay, here's where I'm at with that right now. I'm going to hold that, but I'm not going to let it densify in my body just by bringing your awareness to it, giving your awareness to what's going on. If you ignore it, that's the opposite. If you try and suppress it, pretend it's not there, try and numb yourself to get away from it, avoiding conversations, avoiding contemplations, all of that is the opposite of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about allowing yourself to address what comes up, even and especially the difficult things, the challenges, because in that addressing, in that understanding, that awareness, you gain understanding. In that contemplation, you can get to a place where, okay, you might not be accepting of what happens, but at least you can come to terms within yourself. All right, here's how I feel about it. I'm not going to suppress it. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to really dig in and see, how does this make me feel? What are my awarenesses around this? I just had an experience of witnessing a car accident that was very close to me and my son as I was driving, and it made me feel uncomfortable. And because of that, I did a lot of contemplating about that and bringing awareness to it, contemplating my own mortality, contemplating my feelings about my son and my children, and having to face the fact that it's out of my control sometimes. I can't control what's happening on the outside to the extent where I'm always going to have my children be safe. That's, as a parent, that's something that I think we all have to contemplate. So I didn't suppress it. I let myself have that experience. And then I used my tools to ascend my reality through what I know how to do, which is to hold space for that. And I'm going to send out an email about that. So watch for that this week. But what I really want to get to is not avoidance, but integration, digging in. How does that make me feel? And when something's going on in the world that makes you uncomfortable, are you resisting it, suppressing it? Are you fighting it? Are you actively angry about it? There's nothing wrong with anger either, but it's how you're being in your expression of being, how you're reacting, responding is going to create your frequency. It's going to be evident in the frequency that you hold. It takes tenacity to monitor yourself and your thoughts. And recently I've chosen to dig in and really find my own lack consciousness, if you want to call it that, the consciousness of lack, not just financially or in prosperity, but in every realm of my thinking, in every realm of my being, because I desire to upgrade my consciousness. And so in order to upgrade my consciousness, first, I must be aware of where I need upgrading. And so this is something that takes a lot of tenacity. Every single time you think something that is of lack consciousness, you can make a shift consciously. So here's how that works for me, just so you understand my process, and hopefully that will serve you. I will find myself having a thought. I just noticed this the other day. It was a victim thought, and I really have mostly, I felt like I had edited out victim consciousness, but apparently not, because I found myself thinking they are doing this to us, or some they is doing something to me or to an us or me. And so that's automatically lack consciousness, victim consciousness. And I recognized myself thinking that, and I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. I'm rehearsing. I'm playing a lack consciousness mentality, and it's a victim consciousness. So I get to shift that right now in the moment. I thought about what I was thinking about, and I reframed it, which I call reframing, to a prosperity consciousness. So looking at the they that I was perceiving and accepting that they as part of myself, accepting that they as just a part of me that needs love too. And they could never hurt me because we are one from the highest perspective. We are one. And then coming back into why am I perceiving separation? Why am I perceiving that there could be a they that wants to hurt me? What is this pointing to within me? And then contemplating, okay, well, there's a part of me that feels vulnerable to a perceived they. And I get to get in touch with that vulnerability. Why does that part feel vulnerable? What has happened to me in my past? And sometimes there are many, many layers of this. So it's a great time to get out your journal, just start sketching, writing things down, draw a picture if you want to, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but to really dig in, okay, what is this teaching me and showing me? And what do I need to recognize to allow myself to clear this victim mentality from my consciousness? And so I'll go through, write down, or contemplate, meditate, if that's better for you. What are the layers of this bringing up? What does it lead me to? Usually it will direct me to a time in my childhood where I felt that way. So the feeling here is the secret. When you get into how does this feel? And frequencies have a feeling attached. They have an emotion attached. They have a feeling attached. They have a physical feeling. They have an emotional and an energetic feeling that you can perceive in your body, in your emotional field. So to be curious and aware, okay, how does this make me feel? How did I feel? When did I feel this way before? Did I feel this way at some time in my past? Usually you'll flash to a childhood memory. I did. I flashed to a childhood memory on this one. I just did this yesterday. A childhood memory when I felt that way. And then I recognized that's what I'm doing. My mind is rehearsing that scene or that challenge that came up in my childhood where I felt vulnerable, where I felt out of control, where I felt like somebody outside of myself. And as a child, there's lots of times where this can happen because we're children and we don't have rights that adults do, and adults get to make choices for us that we might not choose for ourselves. So I felt like out of control, like it wasn't my say. Somebody else got to choose what was going to happen to me, and it might not have been what I wanted. So I got to recognize that and then say, okay, I get it. Inner child, you're still rehearsing a program from when you truly were not sovereign because somebody else was making decisions for you and you didn't really feel like you had control, and there's a reason why you felt that way. And now I'm an adult, love up that child, You're safe. It's okay. I understand. I get it. You have every reason to feel that way. That makes complete sense to me. Understand your child the way your child wants to be understood, right? And then move into your adult body. Now I'm an adult. Now I get to make choices for myself. Now, even when it seems like somebody is doing something that makes me a victim, I am not a victim. I am a sovereign being. I get to choose. I get to create the purpose and live out the purpose of my life in the way that I choose. What a gift. What a gift to realize that. And when you take that old victim consciousness, that old way of being, and love up your inner child, clear that from your field, you're integrating that consciousness, you're giving it space to be understood and then to clear from your field. Wow, the release that happens is like, oh, wow, there was still a piece of that there. This comes up in layers. I'm not probably done with that forever. What I've been noticing is even the teeniest, tiniest thoughts that I have that in the past might have gone unnoticed, or I might not have paid any attention to whatsoever. I'm bringing my consciousness to that so that I can clear it and upgrade my mind to be fully free and sovereign. Looking at, why do I do the things I do? And anytime I do something for any reason other than because I'm choosing to, because it fits with my purpose and it fits with my joy and it fits with what I want and choose for my life to be about. If I'm choosing it for any other purpose, like that's being done to me, or I have to make that person happy, or, any other version of that, then I'm editing. I'm looking at those deeply and editing those. So this is really how we can get more and more clear on our purpose, on our sovereignty, on who we are. And I realize so many of us, I've had a lot of, I guess, feedback on my videos and on my emails about not really knowing who we are. And of course, that makes perfect sense because we haven't intentionally chosen who we are. We've let society, it starts when we're born, and our parents and the hospitals and the people around us are making choices for us and telling us, feeding us, giving us the input. Here's how you should think. Here's how you should speak. Here's what you should do. Here's how you should do it. And I remember being a kid and my dad telling me how I'm supposed to put peas on my fork. I wasn't allowed to put them on with a finger and figure out how to do it with just the fork, just because that's what he was taught. And now looking back on that, I'm like, wow, I was told how to eat. Well, good. Okay. I learned how to use utensils. That's served me in my life. But I was being told every little thing of how to do things, and I was rebellious. So of course, I think that's a good thing, to be rebellious and to be able to go back and be like, oh, you know what? Maybe that served some point then for them or for me, but now I get to choose how I do that, and I find it funny. My son will sometimes, just to kind of spite me, just use his hands instead of utensils, or stick his face in his food just to be ridiculous. And I laugh, unless we're at a restaurant or something, that it's not as funny. But like looking at, what are these ridiculous rules that we've been fed from the time we're little kids, and that we made up, that it's wrong to use our hands to eat certain foods, but it's right to use them for others. It's just silliness, right? And our lives are full of those things, rules, other people's rules. What are your rules for yourself? What are your choices, not just around eating, but around everything in life, right? What do you do? And even getting into looking at, why do I use utensils when I want to use my hands? Or maybe I want to try using my hands instead of utensils, just because I was told that it had to be that way. You can get down to the tiniest things and find more freedom out of it. That's the purpose, right? To find out more of who you are and what you like and what you want, to be more free. The clothes that we wear, the way we do our hair and our makeup, if we're women or men, the way that we present ourselves in public, it's expected to be a certain way. But what if you go out differently? I live in Florida, and one of the first things I noticed when I got here, there's a lot of older people. The demographic is older here. And I would see women with, talking like 70s, 80s, with purple hair, blue hair, all kinds of different rainbow colors, and wearing wild and crazy clothes. Not all of them, a lot of them dress the way older women are supposed to dress. whatever that is, right? But some of them are just like, no, forget all those rules. I'm going to wear like multicolor rainbow leggings and a mini skirt and a crop top, and my hair is going to be green. I love that, because they're choosing at that age. And sometimes it takes us getting older to be able to say to society, you know what? I'm not playing by your rules anymore. I figured out that I like to do things a different way. I'm going to try it this way. I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to try lots of different things that don't fit with society and see how that goes. And there's not this conformity, this need to conform, this need to be accepted, this need to be beautiful, this need to be all of the things that in youth we want so much. I'm generalizing here, but generally in youth and younger, our teens and 20s and 30s, we want so much to fit in. We want to be accepted. We want to be perceived in a certain way. We want to be acknowledged and esteemed and all this stuff. And if we're wearing green hair and rainbow leggings, we might not get that kind of respect that we're looking for in the world. So all of this is to kind of bring the awareness to what programs, what thoughts, words, actions are you rehearsing in your life that are limiting your freedoms. Every moment offers us the opportunity to upgrade, to ascend our frequency, to upgrade our mindset, to upgrade our emotions, and to become more free. So bringing it back around to what is the purpose of all of this, my opinion is that the purpose of us being here is going to be different for each of us, but ultimately to have an experience of being. And that is going to be unique to you. But how are you going to know what it is if you don't know who you are? Because all you've ever done is what you've been told to do. If you've always been a good girl or a good boy or a good person, if you've always been willing to do what you're told and conform to somebody else's rules and regulations, then how are you going to know who you are? Of course, people are searching for their purpose because we can't know our purpose if we don't know ourselves. So ultimately, this is the challenge that I have for you from this video. This week, monitor your mind, monitor your thoughts, tenaciously dig in and find those places where you're behaving and operating out of somebody else has told you how to do things, how to behave, how to think, or from a place of your childhood where you were hurt or where you were vulnerable. Be tenacious, dig in. Number one, find those places where you're rehearsing lack consciousness in any of its forms. Number two, dig in and do the work to get to the source of it. Probably in your childhood, if you're someone who remembers past lives, we come in with these patterns. So it might be a repeating pattern from past lives, but it's more important to just focus on this life, this time. And then do the work to dissect it and say, okay, I'm gonna clear that from my field. And now I'm going to look at what supports me better than that old way of thinking, than that lack consciousness. What brings in my higher consciousness, my higher way of being in the situation, and what does my new mindset look like? What do I choose to rehearse instead of that lack consciousness thought? What can I do to bring in more of a prosperity consciousness thought, more of a success consciousness thought? And I don't mean like the all outward success of getting a better job or something like that. I mean personal success. What for you is success? And a better way to say it might be a more free way of being, a more free consciousness. What does freedom consciousness look like, feel like, behave like in your life? And if that means you go out and dye your hair or change your wardrobe, or maybe it's just get a new pair of earrings or hat, or shoes or something else, like maybe you go to a class, a dance class that you never would have done, or go do something that is completely different than anything you've ever done because you were told to do it a different way. And I would love to hear, what are you going to do? And if you did it, what did you do differently? What did you discover? What did you find? Leave me a comment. What is this bringing up for you? Does this challenge feel scary to you? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, great. It doesn't matter if it feels scary or not, but what I'd like for you to get to is it feels exciting, because this is the starting point of changing everything. This is where you get to take your life back into your own hands and say, I get to choose what's right for me. I get to choose how I think, how I perceive the world. I get to choose the way, ultimately, you're choosing the way other people are behaving in your reality. Because as you upgrade your thinking and your emotions about the way you perceive the world changes. It's amazing how it can correlate to, oh, wow, people are responding differently to me now. People feel more loving toward me. People feel more helpful, more supportive, more joyful. And that is a direct reflection of the work that you are doing. So yes, please do let me know how this lands for you. What is it bringing up? What are you discovering about yourself? And I love you. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Namaste. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this was helpful and supportive to you. And something you could do for me that would be helpful and supportive to me is give me a thumbs up, like this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. And when you give it that thumbs up, when you leave a comment, that actually gets it up in rankings on YouTube, and that helps other people find it. So not only are you helping out my channel, but you're helping get this message out there to more people. And I thank you so much for helping me out in that way. We'll see you soon.